I'm your host, Will. In a past video, we've talked about the 1995 film Species, which is about a human-alien hybrid that goes on a mission to replace the human race. But what if, instead of the monster being female, it was instead male? In today's video, we're going to go over the plot of the film's comic book spin-off. Let's get to it. As a longtime sci-fi nerd, I really miss the big-budget tentpole movies of the 90s and early 20s. They had a lot of audacious concepts and outstanding set pieces, but they never took themselves too seriously. And that's exactly what made those films so much fun for everyone. Films like Evolution, 2001, Men in Black, 1997, and Screamers, 1995, are some of the best examples that come to mind in this regard. However, there is one particular film from this period which fascinated me due to its clever concept and subversion of the usual sci-fi trope of dangerous aliens. Now, don't get me wrong, the alien creature is very much dangerous in this film, but for most parts, it is seen in its human form and is played by Natasha Henstridge in her big screen debut, which made the creature an extension of classic femme fatale tropes. And some of you have already assumed from the description, we're talking about Species, 1995, directed by Roger Donaldson and co-starring Ben Kingsley, Forrest Whitaker, Michael Madsen, Alfred Molina, and Marg Helgenberger. Although the creature still was designed by alien fame artist H.R. Giger during its time of release, most of the discussions revolved around Henstridge's performance as the humanoid form of the alien hybrid. Owing to her popularity in this film, she was brought back in the 1998 sequel as Eve, a lab-made hybrid clone of Syl, even though her original character had died in the first part. As much as I liked Syl and the lead performance, I always wondered what it would be like if the creature was male instead of female. Turns out, my answer was present in the 1996 Dark Horse Miniseries Species, Human Race, which takes place 2 years after the events of the first film. In today's video, we'll talk about the male species creature and explore the comic in detail. So, without further delay, let's get to it. Before moving forward, let's briefly talk about the plot of the original film. It revolved around a deep space extraterrestrial transmission received by the SETI radio telescope at Arecibo. The transmission had two messages coded into it, one being the formula to produce a cheap form of methane gas energy, and the other being an extraterrestrial DNA sequence with detailed instructions regarding how to fuse it with a human being. Under the supervision of scientist Xavier Finch, whom you might remember from the first film, the two DNA codes were combined successfully to produce a female hybrid of alien and human, codenamed Syl. However, Syl escaped from the facility and killed a bunch of people, including Finch. However, after much trouble, she was finally killed under the sewers in Los Angeles by a team comprising of scientist Dr. Laura Baker, the empath Dan Smithson, and the professional mercenary Press Lennox. Now that we're all caught up, let's dive deep into Species, Human Race. Number 1. Enter the Devil. The first issue, written by Gordon Rennie and drawn by Phil Hester and Andy Parks, opens with a flashback sequence into Burke Chemicals in the middle of a bloodbath. An unknown creature is killing a group of scientists brutally inside a top-secret medical laboratory. We can only see it in bits and pieces as it kills the security guards outside the lab and escapes from the secret facility while the remaining guards are scared about the ensuing chaos. 1 week later in the present, Dr. Alana Walker, working for the Center for Disease Control, CDC, arrives at Duburg Chemicals following a request from Dr. Naylor. Dr. Walker is initially confused regarding the reason she is brought here from the CDC. Dr. Naylor tells her that this is because of her thesis at Johns Hopkins, which dealt with the origins of the Ebola virus outside of Africa. Soon, Walker is given a tour of the bloody crime scene by Naylor, along with a briefing of the events that had transpired in the lab a week ago. Following the disaster of the experiment in the original 95 film, and the loss of many lives due to Syl, the government ordered the project to close down and destroy the remaining hybrid DNA samples. But unknown to the government, Duburg Chemicals, a leading pharmaceutical manufacturer, also got its hands on the original transmission and started producing their own hybrid creature in their medical labs in a confidential project. It seemed like a profitable opportunity to capitalize on a cross-species for a company that specializes in research of genetic modification and fertility. After a few months, with the help of expert scientists, They were able to create their own human-alien hybrid, but there were two main differences between the creatures created by Duberg and the one by the government. While the original creature was knowingly engineered to be female, due to Fitch's mistaken understanding of the gender being docile and controllable, this one was male. Further, unlike Syl, which was created by fertilizing a human ovum and the DNA combination that developed into an embryo formed in the tanks of the government labs, this new hybrid was produced by directly injecting the combination inside the body of a comatose young woman. Needless to say, during the birth, the creature killed the young woman, and it also showed signs of fast growth like Syl. Named Cal, the creature matured into a 10-year-old within a mere month, but he didn't display any other unusual property. However, that changed after a week, when Cal finally saw a woman in the form of the nurse Joanne DeLillo inside the premises of the lab. This first encounter with a woman made Cal very much excited, similar to a teenage human boy, and in reaction, Cal caused a massacre in the lab and escaped. After explaining everything to Dr. Walker, Naylor shares his concern regarding the fact that these hybrid lifeforms are not valuable research objects, but they are here to invade our planet by infecting and breeding with humans, the host species. By doing so, they will create more creatures like themselves, and in a few years, they will outbreed humans and we will be extinct. Since Cal is a male species, he can procreate with many women in a short period of time, unlike Syl, which will produce more hybrids with rapid sexual maturity. It is therefore Dr. Walker's responsibility to find and stop Cal before he can breed and impregnate women. However, as Naylor had predicted, Cal is already in search for his potential victims. Now fully grown into a handsome young man, Cal arrives at a local strip club. In the club, he fixes his eyes on one of the strippers. Later on the streets, he forcefully impregnates and kills her in the back of the alley in his full alien form. When a couple of cops rush forward to save the woman, Cal attacks and brutally kills both of them. Through Dr. Walker's observations regarding the case obtained from the Syl files, which is depicted in a brilliant parallel sequence to Cal's brutal actions, we get to know that he has well-developed predatory instincts that come into the foreground rather brutally when it feels threatened. The Syl files also mention that the creature is extremely intelligent and possibly superior to humans. Meanwhile, as other police vehicles arrive at the crime scene, Cal gets outnumbered and escapes. The cops soon realize that the woman is still alive, although she has lost a lot of blood. On her way to the hospital, inside an ambulance, her belly expands suddenly and a hybrid baby erupts out. Turns out that the Syl files' observation regarding the second-generation hybrid was true. It can very well defend itself from an early age. In the ambulance, the baby expectedly kills the mother, the attendant, and soon after, the driver himself. Following the death of the driver, the ambulance also explodes and the hybrid baby dies as well. Soon, Dr. Walker gets a call from Dr. Naylor. He informs Walker that a car is arriving to pick her up as the chaos has begun, and they have to do something immediately to stop the viral infection. Number 2. The Death Ride Together. The second issue opens with a search going on in the locality for Cal, under the supervision of Dr. Naylor and Dr. Walker. This issue is written by Ed Gorman and drawn by Phil Hester and Andy Parks. After the incident involving the stripper from the first issue, Cal knocked an old man unconscious and stole his blue Chevrolet sedan. For the last 48 hours, he has been out in the wild. Fortunately for our heroes, he has been spotted on the nearby Interstate 49, and they begin their search for Cal in their car. Meanwhile, we meet Tina Hart, a 15-year-old teenager who recently had a breakup with her boyfriend Bobby owing to her racist parents who don't treat him as an equal. Adding to her pains, she found out that Bobby has already moved on and is going out with another woman. Unable to deal with the heartbreak, she decides to run away from her home at night. After she's harassed by drunk drivers while waiting for a ride at Interstate 49, Tina gets scared and begins to rethink her decision. Meanwhile, on their search, Naylor and Walker discover the sedan up in flames near the highway. They realize that this was a diversion tactic used by Cal to make them believe that he is dead in the fire blast accident like in the first film. Cal, in the meantime, is searching for his next prey in the nearby club. Now developed into a full-grown man, Cal meets a woman in the club and gets into her car to continue his mission to spread the infection. However, like Syl, he also possesses sensory power to detect who is capable to bear his child. So he leaves the woman and searches for his next prey. Cal assaults another driver and steals his car to continue his mission. Soon after, he finds Tina near the highway and invites her in. Elsewhere, Dr. Walker and Dr. Naylor get to know about the stolen car via police radio and decide to check on the driver. On further inquiry, they find out that it is indeed Cal, who nearly broke the driver's arm and went away with his car. Realizing that he is nearby, the doctors begin their search in the nearby area. In the meantime, Tina and Cal are going through their ride when suddenly Cal stops the car in the middle of nowhere. Tina gets scared and Cal reveals his alien identity and prepares to assault her. She nearly escapes his attack and starts running in the deep forest. Meanwhile, the doctors arrive at the spot and discover the stolen car. They soon hear screams of Tina and decide to intervene. Soon after, Naylor finds Cal near a cliff and shoots him multiple times with his gun. Realizing that he is outpowered, Cal jumps over the cliff into the river and escapes. A scared and traumatized Tina is saved by Naylor and Walker. The final panel focuses on the close-up of Cal in the waters as he survives the night. Number 3. Con of the Dead. The third issue of the series acts as a digression from the main story and mostly focuses on two new characters, Glenda and Tommy. The story in this issue, written by Stephen Blue and drawn by Dennis Cohen, seems to play out like Bonnie and Clyde, 1967, and the opening climax portions of Pulp Fiction, 1994, both of which concentrated on an outlaw couple. However, the fans need not to worry, because Cal makes an appearance in the later parts of the issue and ties it up nicely with the main story. The issue opens with a couple in a car running away to New Orleans from a hotel without checking out. We get to know that they are running away from something and plan on keeping a low profile for the time being. Soon their discussions stop as they listen to the car radio where Dr. Walker warns the citizens about the virus outbreak in a press conference. Walker further points out that the authorities have created a blockade with a 50-mile radius around the Red River, Louisiana to prevent the outbreak. Soon, Glenda gets hungry and asks Tommy to stop by a diner. Tommy, although scared of them getting caught by the dreaded gangster Red and his henchmen, gives in to his girl's demands and gets inside a diner. In a flashback sequence, we see Tommy losing in a casino and getting inside the lift of his hotel. In the lift, he meets Samuel, where they begin talking about luck and opportunity. Soon, their conversation is interrupted with the arrival of Leonard and his gun. Turns out, Leonard is here to kill Samuel, who has stolen something valuable that belonged to Red. Samuel tried to persuade him, but is instead brutally shot down by Leonard in the lift. Soon after, Leonard lays his eyes on Tommy and suspects him of being Samuel's partner. As he's about to kill Tommy as well, Leonard is fatally shot by a wounded Samuel. Before dying, Samuel tells Tommy to seize the opportunity and take the diamonds from his bag, but he also warns him regarding Red and the chaos that will ensue as a result of this. Soon after his death, Tommy grabs the diamonds and the gun and leaves the hotel abruptly. Back in the present, in the diner, we see Tommy and Glenda discussing their future plan of actions regarding the diamonds and about Red's men. Soon, Tommy discovers a mysterious man in a black coat entering the diner. Suspecting him of being one of Red's goons, Tommy gets scared and asks Glenda to drive the car into the front of the diner. As Glenda listens to his command, a waitress comes by and gives him a note of warning from the guy wearing a cowboy hat. The note asked him to go to room number 13 of Lucky Inn along with the diamonds. Now scared out of his wits, Tommy decides to follow the order. However, as he is preparing for the ride out of the diner, the mysterious person suddenly appears and shoots his car with a giant gun. Now more desperate than ever, Tommy finally arrives at the discussed location and discovers that the guy with the cowboy hat has taken Glenda hostage. A violent gunfight takes place and Red's henchman shoots down Tommy and takes hold of the diamonds. In between the chaos, Glenda manages to get out of there and hides in another room. The henchman follows her to the room, but soon gets killed by Cal, who was hiding in the bathroom of that motel room. Soon, Glenda meets Cal, and she plans on shooting him with a gun. But Cal, very much certain about his mission, proceeds to hug her. However, they are soon interrupted by the presence of the mysterious man from the diner. As the man gets inside room number 13, where we see a bloody Tommy lying on the floor, it is revealed via phone call that the mysterious man is working for Naylor. He suspected Tommy of being Cal, as he matched the description and had a woman with him in the diner. However, now that he is dead, the man is looking for clues to know who exactly killed him. As he follows the blood trail out of room 13, to his surprise, someone suddenly drives a bicycle, breaking the glasses of the hotel room. It is revealed that Cal was the driver of the bike with Glenda by his side. Shocked by the incident, the mysterious man falls onto the floor and instructs the authority to conduct search operations along Route 102 as Cal is moving towards New Orleans. In the final panel of the issue, we see the new couple driving away in the night, with Cal's snake eyes gleaming with excitement. Number 4. The Last of the Species. The fourth issue of the miniseries, written by Swamp Thing fame Stephen R. Bissetti and drawn by Mark A. Nelson and George Pratt, opens with a full-page spread of Cal's slowly decomposing body and an inset of his semen like forms resembling snakes. Although it is the final issue of the series, it's a bit more abstract, narrative bordering on body horror elements, with breathtaking art that reminded me of the original Species film and Bissetti's work in Alan Moore's cult run and DC's Swamp Thing. The issue mainly focuses on the findings of Dr. Jean Louis Diana as she dissects the body of Glenda Ross and Cal's other victims. Along with her findings, a parallel narration of Dr. Naylor goes on throughout the issue, which beautifully brings out an empathetic perspective towards the events concerning Cal. As Dr. Diana takes a look at Cal's sperm from the microscope, she realizes that the hybrid semen can remain active for days, unlike that of other mammals. The sperm was recovered from the body of Glenda, whose body was found near an uprooted road sign 11 hours after the events of the third issue. Similar to his previous 15 victims, Glenda succumbed to sexual assault and her reproductive tissues and genetic tissues were destroyed severely. However, unlike the previous cases, she was successful in injuring Cal as revealed from materials found under her fingernails and teeth. Moreover, Dr. Diana's findings also pointed out that Glenda was already pregnant when Cal assaulted her, as a result of which his sperm attacked the fetus. In a brief and beautifully drawn flashback sequence, we see an injured and weak Cal sheltering himself under the bridge as suddenly he notices a dog barking at him from above. Sensing danger, Cal rises above the bridge and attacks the dog and its owner. Upon investigating the owner's body, Dr. Diana finds remnants of Cal's skin from the hands which was clawed by her as an attempt to defend herself from the creature. Along with that, she also discovered over 60 cc of alien semen around her body. While this evidence itself is not surprising, the discovery shocks her since this woman was unable to conceive children, and this doesn't suit his modus operandi of targeting young and fertile women. In order to get some suggestions regarding this weird discovery and share other evidence, Dr. Diana dials up Dr. Walker and Dr. Laura Baker from the original film, who is also working as a scientific consultant in the current case. After careful consideration of samples from the sperm and cell particles, they reach a conclusion that the creature is now becoming desperate to procreate after repeated failures. Later, Dr. Diana further explains to Dr. Naylor that he is desperate because he is decomposing slowly and the human frame is proving to be very fragile for him to continue. As opposed to the silk creature, who was able to use human semen to replicate herself, Cal's failure to reproduce means that his days on the Earth are limited, and he's aware of that. Throughout this issue, we see many panels focusing on the weakening anatomy of Cal that brings out the dilemma and helplessness of the character and runs in parallel with the main narrative. In one such beautiful sequence, we see him interacting with his semen in a desperate bid to reproduce and live, but ultimately failing, while he kills women of all ages. Meanwhile, in the lab, Dr. Diana inspects the bodies of other victims and discovers Cal's body parts alongside the corpses. Turns out, due to numerous failed attempts, Cal is now losing body parts and is dying rapidly. In one last act of desperation, Cal takes shelter in the body of an overweight woman and bursts out of her body while Dr. Diana was about to dissect her. In a brilliantly drawn sequence, we see Cal daydreaming of living in this Earth after successfully reproducing. However, due to his decaying condition, Cal couldn't really make his dreams come true, and he soon disintegrates into pulp after emerging inside the lab. After the death of Cal, Dr. Naylor instructs Dr. Diana to preserve the samples, including the vital sperm. In the final full-page spread, we see traces of movement in Cal's sperm, indicating that maybe Cal again regenerates in a new form sometime later. This brings us to the end of the video. While the comic series does a nice job of continuing the story from the original film and establishes Cal as a well-rounded character with real crises and motivation, there is a lot of tonal inconsistency in the series that makes for an average reading experience. This inconsistency, as per me, is mostly due to different writers being in charge of each issue, which led to a lot of characters like Dr. Walker and Dr. Naylor appear and disappear as per their convenience, and making it hard to follow at times. However, I would definitely recommend this comic for the sheer fact that it made me sympathize with Cal, which I never thought was possible, while there were sympathetic elements with Syl in the original film as well. In the comic, Cal's gradual decay made me shed a tear or two for his inevitable fate. Overall, if you want to delve into the psyche of the alien hybrid form, which is mostly missing from the original film and its sequels, this comic is a must-read. So that's it from my side. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting content like these. Till next time.